All right, hello and welcome to the Postgrad Year. Today we're going to be talking about the Commonplace Book, or mine is a binder, but we're going to be talking about commonplace books and how the titles work. So this is page one of a few, and this looks a little weird because journaling is listed twice, but we're going to be looking through all of these. So what the heck are we looking at? Well, we're looking at a commonplace book, which is actually a commonplace binder, which lists the best titles to use if you're making videos on commonplace books, probably also for personal knowledge bases, Zettelkasten, and maybe some other digital note-taking tools. But specifically commonplace books. So what we're going to do is I'm going to mention the things you just looked at with the keywords first, and then I'm going to read from the top and we're going to talk about it. Or at least I'm going to talk about it. So if you want to talk about it, do that down in the comment section. But we're not really there yet. Probably watch before commenting, although you can always comment before you watch, which would be kind of weird, and I don't think I've ever done that. So the subcategories are journaling, craft, create, decorating, and vlog. So that's pretty short and small, but we're going to get to it now. So there were 30 items in here, now 31. Basically, when I do this digitally, stuff gets moved around and I add an extra little note that says what the thing is. So we'll delete the least viewed thumbnail before starting and drop the number of thumbnails in here down to 29. So, deleting my thing, but also the worst performing thing. And that was number 462, which is basically all the way at the bottom, because 470 is the one all the way at the bottom. So 462 is probably a pretty lousy video to watch. So deleted it as it is the last one, but also due to a lack of description, no item in the thumbnail. Thumbnail appears dark with a person's face, but they seem like they might not be totally conscious. That's just a mess. That sounds like an absolute mess. Like, I don't know what that is. It's like someone, made a video while not totally awake and then posted it. I don't really know how that makes any sense, but that's a thing. Right, so now we gotta look at the subfolders. So number one is journaling. And what's interesting about this is it has subfolders of the subfolders. So that'll be fun. And that I don't think is a thing we've talked about before. So later on, in my journey of creating this sort of thing, when there were more than 10 items in a subcategory, I broke that down to like a subcategory, although I'm not going to say that like 10 times fast. Or 10 times, hopefully. But yeah, we'll just get into it. So subcategory number one is journaling, 19 items, thumbnail, 1 open book, and then I added, subcategories or subcategories. Right, but if this is the first time you're watching, remember we're talking about commonplace book with me, and then the first category is journaling. So that would be journaling with me, commonplace book, or journaling in my commonplace book, watch with me, or you can come up with whatever title you want, but what it includes is commonplace book with me and journaling. So sometimes word for word, sometimes just what I decided the vibe of the particular video was. And for this, we have additional words. There are actually a lot of them. So the first one is add. Now what this means is, in addition to commonplace book with me and journaling, it would also say add. So maybe that would be add some journals with me in my commonplace book. So that would be journal, not journaling, but I don't know. So the subcategory had add 4 items, thumbnail, single shot, no clutter, no breaks in the image. So sounds like it was done effectively, and considering that is the first of the first, like it's the first subcategory and then it's the first subcategory, you probably want to have journaling, add, commonplace book, and with me all combined in one title. That'll probably do pretty well. But yeah, have no clutter and no random breaks in the image. No breaks in the image is probably because there are other images that are like really broken up or something. Number 2 is organization, which makes sense. Journaling is sort of an organizational thing in some ways. That has 1 item, and the thumbnail is binder along with lots of pages and white text. So, wait a second. Binder? Hold on. Yeah, no, that wouldn't be me. That would be somebody else. I think I know who it is, but maybe not. Sorry, my eyebrows look a little reddish to me right now, or a little blonde. That's funny. The funny thing is, my hair actually was a little bit red at one point, but blonde a very long time ago. So that's just a fun little bit of information. Now to subcategory 3, or technically C because I numbered it with letters, is personal, which makes sense because journaling is personal. So if you combine those 2 words, that makes sense. Personal, 3 items. Thumbnail needs to show a book on screen. So if you're journaling in a book or using a book, it makes sense to show the book. Number 4 is setup. Well, I should just say letter D, but that's kind of weird to say. So letter D is setup, 4 items, thumbnail, show a person using a notebook. So if you are setting up a thing, you should show the person setting up a thing. Very simple. Part E is plan. This one has 6 items. Although I guess you can plan journaling, you can plan using your journal, you can plan in your journal, you can, there are a bunch of different things you can do. And remember, not everyone uses a 100% unique title every time. Sometimes they are complete carbon copies, although that is fairly rare. That's the thing I probably shouldn't be talking about. So, yeah. Plan, 6 items, thumbnail, only show what needs to be seen, or it looks like a dumb plan. That makes sense. If you have a well put together thing, makes sense to show it. If it looks like a mess, it won't compete well. I'll just say that. And F is quotes. That has 1 item, and the thumbnail is pretty text and art. That makes sense. If you want to write down some quotes in a journal, because remember, this is journaling with me, then yeah, you can add some quotes. That's cool. People don't necessarily care about it, but it'll work. So you can do it. It's just not suggested. Remember, this is the very bottom of the subcategories of the first one. So like the first subcategory or the first subcategory is going to be good, but the last one is probably going to be not so great. So remember, in order, add organization, personal, setup, plan, and quotes. So setup will do better than plan, and plan will do better than quotes. You want to aim towards the top normally, unless you're just like a god. So in which case, doesn't matter, but you probably wouldn't be watching this anyway, unless it's to reaffirm your own beliefs. Oh yeah, hitchhiker's thumb. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, genetic mutation where it's actually bad. Good news for me, I don't have the most hypermobility, because the fun thing about hypermobility, makes people great at sports, but it also means they get slapped and then they're like bone breaks. So not exactly, but generally speaking, you don't want to move your shoulders too much in very stressful situations while holding a bunch of weight. So basically climbing, not a great plan, especially if you haven't stretched first. Although you could do it. I definitely have in the past. Although climbing trees, not climbing rock ledges or any sort of James Bond nonsense. I have done a pull-up before. But now we're moving on to subcategory 2. We're 10 minutes in. We just made it to subcategory 2. Although I will say, the journaling thing at the beginning, massive. This is not. Subcategory 2 is craft. There's 1 item. Yeah. So many of the subcategories of the previous subcategory had more than 1. But this subcategory only has 1 item? Ridiculous. So it's craft, one item. The thumbnail is one book with lots of writing, and then text edited on top. Okay. So I guess that makes sense. If you're crafting something, it has to look like one book with lots of writing and then text edited on top. I don't know. See, that seems like kind of a problem. But remember, we're looking at 1 for craft, and before that, 19 for journaling. So together, that's 20, and there are only 30 items. So it might be that journaling and the subcategories of journaling itself for the category with me might be the only things of value here, because for the rest of this, we're going to be looking at the bottom 2/3. Okay? Or the bottom third. Yeah. So it's probably not going to look amazing, but we're going to go through it anyway. So next is create. That's one item. The thumbnail is one book with lots of writing and then text edited on top. Basically the same thing I wrote before. So people are just like craft, create, I don't know, add a word. That makes sense though, like craft with me or create with me, but I guess people just want to journal with me. I said me there. I'm not going crazy with the parasocial relationship. I'm just saying that's what the titles are looking like. Okay, so number 4 is decorating. That one actually has 4 items, which means we are definitely, after this, going to be in the very bottom tier. But yeah, 4 decorating, 4 items. Thumbnail needs to show all the materials used in decorating and have a hand on the page in addition to it looking pretty. What? Yeah, so there's some thumbnails that seem to do better if there's a person's hand touching it. Much later on, probably 20 or 30 videos from now, in terms of the data, I'm going to be talking about how the race of the person, or the perceived race of the person's hand, also seems to matter substantially, along with the gender and a few other things. But that is a little political, and hopefully that doesn't get me in too much trouble, because I'm not trying to say that's a problem with YouTube or even necessarily with the Commonplace Book category, but maybe just with people, or people who have the resources to be searching things in English on a computer. I don't know. I don't want to point fingers. I just want to point out that some videos do better than others, and if the thumbnails are different in the same specific way every single time, then I kind of have to mention it, as uncomfortable as it is. So now we're on to subcategory 5. This only has 1 item, and there's no other at the very bottom. So this is the last one, which means it probably kind of sucks. So you probably don't want to vlog with me for Commonplace Book. I mean, that doesn't really make any sense anyway. You're like, are you vlogging yourself doing homework? Are you vlogging yourself journaling? Like, that doesn't really make sense. You're like, what's up, guys? At least I feel like getting coffee would be way better than that. Or like you saw a squirrel or something. It seems like pretty much anything else would work better as a vlog. But we're going to get into this, and I don't need to be mean because, this person put an effort, and I'm putting an effort right now, although that, is debatable. Because I churn out content like mad. Sorry, there's something wrong with my throat. I don't know if it's like an allergy thing, something stuck in there, or I've just been talking for too long. I don't know. We just got to get to it. Subcategory 5, vlog, 1 item, thumbnail, image of the person in the middle of the screen, and behind them are 4 different pictures with one serving as the background for each corner. I actually really liked that image. I remember which one it was. I thought it was cool, because it was one of the first times I'd ever seen something like that. Although that being said, couldn't really see what the heck was happening. I don't know if they marked it as vlog. I might have just marked it as vlog because I had no idea how to categorize it. And if I didn't know how to categorize it, that might have been the problem. And that's also the problem with 4 different images, because if they're about 4 different things, then people are going to be like, what am I looking at? Is it about computers, air conditioners, the ceiling fan, beds, books? I don't know. And so I think people might have just gotten confused. So I wrote a note at the bottom of this that said, had to make subcategories of journaling due to having more than 10 items. So that's a thing I just wrote for myself that will be useful in the future, but I should also bring up in this video, just in case people don't know that. So yeah, if you want to make these videos for Commonplace Books, Commonplace binders that'll cost in personal knowledge bases, or any other things like Obsidian, Evernote, or just data capture, analytics, smoosh things. Basically, if you make videos about data, analog or digital or whatever, you should be able to at least get something out of these titles. And I will be making Commonplace binder videos and then Commonplace diploma videos. So, like, if you want to make the same video as me, I guess go crazy. But, like, it's probably better for both of us if make a slightly different video. I'm just saying, if a title here makes a lot of sense and you immediately just make a Commonplace binder video, I'm going to be, like, kind of ticked off. But for everything else, I don't really care. I'd actually be really excited and maybe even a little flattered. Although people just make titles. So it might be somebody makes a video and I'm like, oh, thank you for respecting my work. But they're like, what? I just saw this on a tablecloth. It's like, a tablecloth? Oh, no. Their little cousin drew something. Okay, the lights are off. My computer screen shut down. And I'm just going to go now. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.